Dublin, home to the world's most famous Paddy's Day celebrations.
2 minutes, it goes from something that's manageable to something that's really, really uncomfortable.
Everybody move back now!
500,000 people are coming to town to enjoy the festival. Our cameras are behind the scenes with Ireland's Gardaí as they police the nation's biggest event.
I nearly have a crew coming across into Temple Bar at the moment. Is that them going across the Halfpenny Bridge? Will you tell him to stop anybody coming in? Doesn't normally slow up there.
Come on.
The next hour or two will be crucial.
It's pretty much a death trap if anything had happened in there tonight.
Yeah, you two, move back. This is what they had, is it?
With round-the-clock access, we reveal that for the Gardaí, it's not about the parade or the party. March 17th, the one day in the Irish calendar that everyone knows. Last year, over 2 million people celebrated it worldwide. In Dublin city centre this St. Patrick's Day, over 1,000 police officers will line the streets, and our cameras will be on hand filming with those on the front line. In Store Street Garda Station, Chief Superintendent Pat Leahy leads the final briefing meeting for the big event.
There might be a perception out there that you just roll out last year's plan, but that's the rock that you'll perish on for sure. The actual parade route has shifted. The parade normally came down the east side of, or the west side of O'Connell Street. This, folks, creates significant changes for us. And it really, for me, personally, it puts the hair up in the back of my neck when I saw it first, and I still look at it and I still go, we'll have 500,000 people inside in the city centre for St. Patrick's Day. And when you have 500,000 people inside in town, when the congestion starts, it hits you so quickly that within 2 minutes, it goes from something that's manageable to something that's really, really uncomfortable, and then we're in there trying to fix it. Looking over at Brian Cullen there, and I can see the sweat coming out on his forehead looking at this, because this is going to happen whether we like it or not. So the deadline is the deadline, and it's going to come and it's going to go, and you only get one shot, and if you get it wrong, you're going to live with it for the 12 months after that.
The Garda Public Order Unit has a crucial role to play in the outcome as they're briefed by Inspector Liam Garrity.
Gary, Danny, Dave, John. My father was a guard. I was in college before I joined the Guards 24 years ago, finished with a degree, but then joined the Guards, and I've loved it ever since. Okay, obviously we're on tonight. We're in soft cap uniform for the night, unless a call comes from control to myself. While we're in the city centre, mainly patrolling the city centre, we're a regional unit, so if there's a requirement for anywhere in the city, obviously we'll deal with that, but that will be done through communications with myself.
Over the last 20 years, Paddy's Day has grown into a major festival. What was once just a city centre parade has become a 4-day citywide party, and in Temple Bar, that party always starts early. People from all over the world are gathering, and Inspector Garrity and his team have a duty to keep order in this famously busy district of Dublin.
Yeah, we're just after going on here on a foot patrol now into Temple Bars to see what the crowd is like, see what the atmosphere is like. Hopefully everything is nice and calm and good at the moment. Just to have a visible presence on the ground, and that people see that guards were around and we're out there to keep it safe for them. These patrols have made a significant difference as far as we can see. You know, we're doing them about 2 years now. We used to get a lot of gangs of youths hanging around the area, making people feel unsafe. A lot of those gangs now seem to have stopped coming into town. It has returned the area, the squares, Temple Bar Square, Central Bank Plaza, back to ordinary people to come out and enjoy them, enjoy those open spaces in the city. So we're certainly seeing some successes in relation to these public order patrols.
On Paddy's Day in Dublin, crime increases by 130%. And tonight, Inspector Garrity receives a call which sends his squad in search of a known criminal who is a suspect in a recent robbery.
One of the guards here from the local station spotted a guy who was actually suspected for a theft earlier on today. So we're just having a quick chat with him there at the moment. We're just trying to get some background details. But at this stage, I think we're going to end up taking him back to Pearse Street. We're outside Rory's tackle shop. We've just been onto the station there. We're looking for get a local van down to help us transport this gentleman back to the station and see what happens.
With 500,000 festival goers arriving in town, the guards are on full alert, and the last thing they need is a known criminal at large.
his Patrick's weekend is just probably finished all right, so it has. But then again, maybe it might save somebody else's Patrick's weekend from being damaged.
What's your day before time?
It's good to see the benefit of local guards out on patrol, knowing what's happening in the area, spotting somebody that they knew was wanted for a theft. Obviously, looking at the individual, it's quite clear at this stage he's under the influence of something, and obviously this gentleman now will get the care he needs now, but he's off the street now for the rest of the night and maybe for the weekend.
For the public order team, it's straight back to Temple Bar, where the party is warming up and the vibe is infectious.
Wrong song. Developing patience and being able to deal with people and humour people is very, very important. You know, there's a lot of stuff will happen in front of you. A large group of tourists, they're there, they're singing, they're having fun. You're trying to engage with them, but again, obviously you're not part of the fun yourself. You have to keep a step aside from that. And when you try to step away from it, it can turn a little bit, and that suddenly you're no longer being the fun guy and whatever else. That's what Temple Bar is a bit about.
It's dawn on Paddy's Day, and Dublin is waking in anticipation of its 86th Paddy's Day parade. In a few hours, over 500,000 people will swarm the city streets. Their safety will be in the hands of 1,100 Gardaí, including veteran inspector Martin Mooney.
I joined the Guards on the 6th of October 1982. Well, I didn't really want to do it, but I got 3 job offers in the 1 week, so I said I'd try. I didn't want 2 office-based jobs, so I decided I'll try the Guards, and as you can see, 34 years later, I'm still here.
Crowd control is a big deal on Paddy's Day, and 7 kilometres of barriers will line the parade route, ensuring safety for 500,000 spectators.
The initial crew would start at 4 a.m. on Patrick's morning. The barriers will be dropped from 5 o'clock onwards, and some of the road closures will be staggered in. And roughly around, say, 10 a.m. in the morning, all barriers should be in place. The second shift will come in at 7 a.m, and then the next shift will be 9 a.m. and 10 a.m.
They form one part of a complex plan that swung into action before the sun rose this morning. An operation this size makes huge demands on the force, and Gardaí from all over the country are drafted in for an early morning briefing from Chief Superintendent Frank Clerkin.
The order of the day in terms of how we're to conduct ourselves, it's a graduated policing response. It's a family day out, and we should get out there as you would do every day back in your own stations. You deal with people in a fairly friendly, humane way. Safety is the most important element that we have here today. If you see something happening inside in the crowd, do something about it. If you feel it is so serious that you need to act immediately and break the barrier and let people come onto the route, well, so be it. That's your powers. You still retain all of your powers.
St. Patrick's Day in the past has been marred by rampant street drinking, and the Gardaí are determined to clamp down with a zero-tolerance approach. Under Section 21 of the Public Order Act, Gardaí have the power to seize any alcohol on the streets.
Public drinking on the streets, I mean, the ban on that is hugely effective and absolutely necessary. It's getting the message out that people look, this is not a day for drinking, this is a family event in the city centre.
Since daybreak, those families have been making their way to the parade route in the hope of bagging the best spots to enjoy the spectacle.
The build up to it is a slow burn. So they're arriving into town from 7 o'clock in the morning, and then around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you start looking and saying, there's only 2 hours left, and are we going to hit the numbers at all? Between 11 o'clock and 11:30, it's like as if they just appear from outer space. You'll have huge numbers will come in, and before you know it, you're 10 deep across all the barriers.
The crowds continue to flood into the city centre with 2 hours still to go. Assistant Commissioner Jack Nolan and Chief Superintendent Frank Clerkin are on hand to ensure everything is going to plan on O'Connell Street, while elsewhere Inspector Tim Burke prepares to go on patrol.
I joined the Guards in 1991. I don't know what notion I got into my head, but it was something that I wanted to do from when I was young.
Inspector Burke and his team have been assigned patrol duty in the area surrounding O'Connell Street. Early doors, they're mostly helping visitors find their way to the parade route. But it's not long before they come across a group of youths who could be concealing illicit booze.
It's not as simple as just taking the alcohol off them and letting them on their way. If anything happened to that person or anybody in his company afterwards as a result of our interactions, it wouldn't have been very pleasant.
There you go.
The excitement is building and revellers are flocking in ever greater numbers to the centre of Dublin.
Keep moving there, please. Keep moving. Keep moving.
It's just there's a good atmosphere in town. It's a great atmosphere in town.
Hello. I love Dublin.
We're all for people having fun, but within reason.
It's not yet midday, and already every bag is being searched at the barriers to Temple Bar. Anyone trying to conceal booze today is in for a big letdown.
A lot of them are trying to have a drink on the day because they think this is okay. We're trying to prevent them from 7 o'clock in the morning from doing this, but we have to be really, really proactive in relation to this because this can spoil it for everybody.
What?
On Talbot Street, it's shortly after breakfast time and already this young man is under the influence. But this drinker is also underage, and Inspector Burke has no option but to bring him in to the station for his own safety.
Yeah, come on. What?
I'm not doing that.
You're drinking?
Yeah.
Is that enough?
Yeah, I'm not drunk.
Are you sure?
Where are you bringing me?
We're going to Store Street Garda Station.
Why?
Because you're intoxicated. You've got drink on board, and you've got alcohol. That's up your coat.
Everyone else has alcohol.
Yeah, but you're the one I caught.
If a young person is arrested and brought to a Garda station, we're effectively their parents until something else happens. So it's important for us in loco parentis that we get in contact with their parents as soon as possible.
And you don't have your mother's mobile number in that?
No.
Do you have anyone else that would be able to get in contact with your mother?
It's very important for young people to understand that it's not just a question of seizing the alcohol or making sure that they feel that they're caught. We've a bigger responsibility to that. It's a duty of care to them as well. He wasn't the first, I'm sure, that day, and he probably won't be the last, but that's what we have to do.
The Garda's priorities on Paddy's Day are stretched across a range of duties. Along with protecting the general public from themselves and each other, they also provide security for Ireland's first citizen, the President.
I mean, President Higgins is the president of the people, and you could see on the day that the people around him were delighted to see him, and it's a very important part of what we do. Any dignitary, including the President or the Taoiseach or any other foreign people that come to this area, they get a level of protection, and it's important for us to make sure that everything goes smoothly.
How are you? How are you?
I recorded the President.
Did you get the President?
Mm-hmm.
Well done. Can I see it on your phone?
Challenge overall is to deliver an experience inside in town that people will remember, and they'll go home and they'll talk about it and they'll be happy with the experience that they had inside in town.
The whole Paddy's Day operation is monitored by a network of CCTV cameras, giving a bird's-eye view of the entire city centre. They provide a vital link in the chain of Garda command, keeping order on the streets.
I'll be in what we call India Base, which is the control room, so I'll have strategic command of what's happening on the ground across the two divisions. Show me that again, go back into that, Willie, that last look that we had. Down the bottom of Parnell Square, where it meets with O'Connell Street. Look at the back of it there, look.
Coming up, the massive security operation continues as the parade takes over the city. In Temple Bar, guards continue their checks for alcohol on the streets.
Any cans on you? Any knives?
And a potentially hazardous crush develops.
Everybody move back now!
It's Paddy's Day in Dublin, and TV cameras have citywide access with the Garda Síochána as they police the biggest event in Ireland. For families, the highlight of the day is the festival parade. But while the eyes of 500,000 spectators are on the pageantry, the eyes of over 1,000 guards are on what's behind the scenes. They're determined to stamp out binge drinking on the streets.
Any cans on you? Any knives?
The nerve centre of today's security operation is India Base, where hundreds of CCTV cameras are monitored in a bid to keep the city safe.
This is great numbers there. All right, pan up. Yeah, and take us forward then into the crowd, please.
We have access to all cameras around here. Well, India Base have access to all cameras and all traffic cameras well too, so they can see around the zones. So that's why they can pass on the message to the barriers.
Yeah, that's almost opposite the central bank there, Neil. If you just get somebody just to keep an eye on it, Steve.
Very heavy congestion there, I understand.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks, lad.
On Dame Street, a potentially dangerous situation is developing. Too many people have gathered by the barriers, and Gardaí need to respond quickly.
It's a safety issue for us. We have a number of pinch points which are identified where we would ensure that people are kept moving through them. You will see those where there's kind of scrim fencing put up so that people can't stop and look.
Ger, we need to block it at the top of the street. You have a guard standing there, Ger, up against the back of it. Will you tell him to stop anybody coming in?
Before the situation can get out of hand, a decision is taken to open up a crossing point on the parade route in an attempt to ease pressure on this pinch point.
You can see it there. Look, see the way it's tightening up behind it. Go left slowly. Yeah, just about there. Pan into that for me. Now, it doesn't normally slow up there. That's... Tell him to get in around the back of it and stop anybody coming into it. Tell him we do need to shut it off.
Close it down.
India Base need to take every potential incident seriously.
Yeah, let's get them off the route, folks.
Yeah, a few minutes, yeah. 5 minutes? I don't know. After that, okay. Yeah. 20 minutes.
We've opened it and we've closed it once or twice to try and accommodate them, Frank. So look, we'll play it by ear. Yeah. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
No drinking on the street.
Reports are coming in that a gang of youths who have been acting suspiciously on the north side are heading back to Temple Bar.
Ger, can we get somebody down to Bachelor's Walk to stay on them? There's quite a few of them on O'Connell Street. Might dispatch one or two of them. Look, they're all around the barriers there at the moment on O'Connell Street. Up on camera 204. All right, we need a van to go down to Bachelor's Walk as well. We have a crew, and they may very well make their way across to you now. Is that them going across the Halfpenny Bridge? All right, they need to pick them up there, so Neil, you have a crew coming across into Temple Bar at the moment. They're just crossing the Halfpenny Bridge now at the moment.
This gang of youths is making a beeline for Temple Bar. Years of experience tells Inspector Mooney that they could cause trouble and they need to be dispersed.
Right, lads, out! Out! Huh? Right, you give them going to case and do not go any further. Right? Right, straight out.
Have we picked them up, Willie? I think it has worked, yeah. I think it has worked. No.
The last thing the guards need today is any kind of trouble, and the gang is escorted quickly and firmly out of Temple Bar.
Well, you can see there, like, there's about 40, 50 there, right? That's all pure intimidation. If they keep on coming back, they'll be directed to leave under public order. And if they fail to leave after, they can be arrested.
In 2 hours, the parade winds its way through 2.5 kilometres of city streets. All of the time under the watchful eyes of 1,000 guards, assisted by an array of surveillance cameras. When the spectacle comes to a close, thousands of people will make their way home. For them, Paddy's day is over. But for the Gardaí, their day is only beginning.
Once the parade starts, everything stops. So you have 400,000 or 500,000 people in the city will stop. They found their place. They're going to be quiet now. But as soon as they're told that the parade is over, they all want to leave at the same time and they all want to get where they're going immediately. So you have a huge movement of people once the parade is over. So managing that can be quite challenging. So that is the first really challenging aspect to it.
Dublin City Council workers take the opportunity to clean up after the first half of the day. While nearby, the Garda Public Order Unit gears up ahead of the second half.
Well, there's a profile change. I mean, in the morning time, you have all the families coming in, you have all the people that are coming just for the parade, but then you have a different profile that are coming in and they want to party on into the night.
Inspector Liam Garrity is in charge.
We're here just on Dame Street near Central Bank Plaza, so it's an area where a lot of people tend to gather, maybe cause some problems. So just have a very, very strong presence here at the start of it, and this change over time between the parade and getting the city back to some sort of normality. So we're going to be in this area for a while just to make sure that we can get back control of the streets.
Historically, there is a general spike in crime figures on St. Patrick's Day, with over 100 arrests back in 2014. The Garda Public Order Unit is a highly visible attempt to reduce that number.
We're obviously a very, very different unit, not only because of the uniform we're wearing, which is very, very different to the yellow jacket, but also because we walk in a group, and a large group of a sergeant and six, so there is a presence immediately when you arrive into an area. So yes, it certainly has a very positive impact without actually having to do anything physical on the street.
In terms of dealing with public order, we have a kind of a phased or a graduated approach to it. Firstly, we would use what we'd call generally our yellow jackets. Those are the boys and girls of the guards who are out on foot patrol day after day in yellow jackets. And our policy is really to intervene at the earliest stages, which prevents it escalating into something a little bit more difficult.
Okay, you see we walked down from Central Bank Plaza, we're now in Temple Bar Square. Obviously slightly different atmosphere down here, a lot more noise, a lot more people around the place. So we're just going to hang around the area for a while, just have a presence in the area. As you can see here, we've moved in, and obviously we've moved the gang of youths that were hanging around the area out of the place. And it's just a case of trying to keep stuff moving around. So there's very different atmosphere down in Temple Bar now than there was up in Central Bank Plaza.
As the atmosphere changes in the area, Inspector Martin Mooney is keeping a close eye on the crowds.
No. Give it throw it out. You can't drink on the street.
You go out there and treat them with a smile. Like we always say, get involved with people. We're a service nowadays. Get involved in the fun and festivities.
I'm going home for a nice game of quiet tennis. Do you ever play quiet tennis, Sergeant? It's a bit like ordinary tennis without the racket.
You just have to enjoy, go with the flow and enjoy it. You have to have a good sense of humour, yes.
So days like this, I wish you did better in my leaving cert. Yeah. Top of the morning!
Where are you?
Well, what can I say, yeah? Obviously don't feel the cold.
The daytime crowd is dispersing, but spirits are still high.
We love Paddy's Day. Come on, the Irish!
Ireland all the way!
On the guards!
In the heart of Temple Bar, Inspector Garrity is dealing with crowd control. There is a backlog of bodies trying to enter the area, and they'll have to turn back. Inspector Garrity and his squad need to move these people away quickly and quietly.
Please turn around and go back down the way you came.
Roger, I lifted now.
The Gardaí's efforts are frustrated by a local resident who's determined to draw the attention of the crowd on the street.
Part of our problem here, we have somebody up at the top of the roof letting off a siren, thinking it's great fun. You can see immediately the reaction in the crowd downstairs, and they don't see that they're potentially going to cause a problem down here amongst the people on the bottom of the street. And what they think is good fun actually is a serious problem for us, so it is.
Sorry, can we move back that way, please? Everybody move back now! Back that way and around. That way. That way. No, that way, please.
As night falls on Dublin City, the Paddy's Day transition from family fun day to all-night party is complete.
As the day goes on and people start drinking, you can see a change. And as it goes into the night, then some people, I suppose, drink excessive alcohol, and you can see the demeanour changes at a later stage in the night.
Back in Temple Bar, the party is truly underway.
As you see, there's alcohol here, so we're going to see it's alcohol.
Coming up, as the night wears on, the arrest count rises, and the public order unit gets suited and booted for a raid. Our TV cameras are behind the scenes with the Garda operation on Paddy's Day in Dublin. As night takes hold of the city, alcohol is taking hold of the thousands of revellers who have flocked to Temple Bar to enjoy the party.
I'm actually on the way there now.
Meanwhile, in Pierce Street Garda Station, Inspector Greg Mechatarian is getting ready to join his colleagues on the street.
5 o'clock now, I take responsibility for Temple Bar. So I've a number of members up there in Temple Bar, manning barriers, and we just got a call that it's getting very busy around Temple Bar Square, so I want to go up and have a look and see, do I need to bolster up, or is it just a lot of people there? But the next hour or two will be crucial. We must keep things right, and must keep the zero tolerance going, otherwise we will have problems here. What sergeant's here? Okay. Okay. No, we can't, I told you, no alcohol on the street. If there's alcohol in that, we'll throw it out. They're after getting cans somewhere, smuggling them in, and they were all drinking there, putting into cups, etc. So I just saw the cans. I took the last two anyway, and we'll dispose of them now in one of the bins that are provided.
On patrol in Temple Bar, Inspector Mechatarian and his colleague pass a man who has already been told to leave the area.
Our first response to someone who is a bit drunk or has a little bit messy is to give them the opportunity to go home, to desist from the behaviour. That's always the first option, and people are given that opportunity.
The man walks straight into a waiting Garda, who gives him a second warning and again tells him to vacate the area. To make sure he complies, the guards escort him out of Temple Bar. As a risk to others, if he returns, he could be arrested and potentially charged. In Temple Bar, Inspector Mooney is maintaining the Garda clampdown on street drinking.
No drink.
You see? That's
No
a crime.
drinking on the street.
That's a crime.
That's a crime. No drinking on the street.
He's also taking the time to ensure all is well with his team.
Yeah, how's it going down here? Comes in waves, huh? And the barrier's still down there. There, the barriers are there, but I mean, the guardian is just outside.
Inspector Mechatarian has been called to the scene of a disturbance in a shop on the edge of Temple Bar, only to be greeted by an all too familiar face.
Listen,
This man has once again ignored Garda instructions and has tried to return to Temple Bar.
As you can see, he's very drunk. He's been refused admission to a few places. To avoid the guards, he tried running into the shop there to hide. As soon as we go, he'll try to get back to some place he had to cause some of our problems. But he's you can see a lot of drink taking, as you can see.
The man is given a final caution and instructed to leave the area or face immediate detention. At this point, it's in his best interest to call it a night once and for all.
And back into Temple Bar again he goes. He's been told to leave. He was required under Section 8 of the Public Order Act to move on. Failing to refuse to move on is an offence. And I was explained to him twice. He still decided, no, I won't do what I want, because I'm not drunk. So he's been arrested now. We're looking for transport now back to Pearse Street Bar. Pearse Street is closed, lads, at the moment. The last thing in the world we wanted to be doing was bringing him in, arresting him. So we gave him his warning. He actually got 3 warnings, and eventually he didn't take the warnings. And okay, he was leaving there and let him stand. Yeah, he can't fall any further.
Inspector Mechatarian is summoned to the location of yet another St. Patrick's Night arrest.
Arrest on a situation like in a St. Patrick's Festival is a last resort. Anyone that I ever found, in my experience, is arrested has just pushed the boat out just too far, been given all the chances that we can. We don't want to be filling ourselves up with people who are drunk and have to be minded all night. What's the details of the assault? It was just in the chipper, was it?
She assaulted me.
She assaulted you for a start. Okay, that's okay. And apparently there was some altercation in the takeaway as well, was there? Is that the same one?
No, a different one.
Different one. Okay, yeah. Right. She's there for assaulting you.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely stuff. I think Store Street. You're going to. See you, lads. Thanks a lot. I'll close the door for you. You okay?
Yeah.
Paddy's Day celebrations aren't just confined to the city centre, and in the western suburbs, reports of an unregistered party have resulted in Inspector Liam Garrity's public order squad being called to assist local law enforcement.
Soft cap vest, helmets on the hip if you have boulders. Okay, we're after getting a call out here to our colleagues at Ballyfermot Garda Station. There has been an unlicensed dance organised in an industrial estate down in Kylemore Industrial Park. Obviously there's a reasonably large crew of people at the event. We have been in with them, we've asked them to stop the event, but they're not complying. So local superintendent has issued an order to close down the event. So obviously our colleagues, uniform colleagues, are looking for a bit of extra support. So we're going to get ourselves ready, add on a bit of extra protective equipment, just don't know what we're going to, how we're going to be received when we go down here, and we'll see what happens when we get down there. Angie, if you don't want to take it, you don't want to take it. It's an unlicensed event. You don't know what level of alcohol is involved in it, what level of drugs are going to be involved in it. You don't really know what level of security or control is on the event. And you certainly don't know what the crowd is that's going to be in the event.
Coming up, the Gardaí are called to attend an unusual incident. It's not just alcohol being seized in Temple Bar. And in Ballyfermot, the party is over. It's Paddy's Day in Dublin. The celebrations are in full flow, and the Garda teams are still on the beat. Inspector Greg Mechatarian has just arrived on the scene of an unusual incident. He needs to know more.
Inspector, what's going on?
Just some fellas outside made a lewd act to a woman inside there, so she hit the window like that with her hand and came out. She cut her hand and cut him as well too.
Okay. So is she here? Is this her here?
Yeah, she's got hand. And
Okay.
then your man then is, where is he? He goes there if you want
There,
to go.
there. Down there?
Yeah.
So are we doing criminal damage or what are we going to do? Probably adult cautionary. How are you, dude?
Just get a few details.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Just check it out. Policing is always challenging. There's no doubt about it. We try to be proportional in all our dealings with people. And everything we do, we try to deal with in proportion in relation to it. It's bizarre what happened. He was making lewd gestures in the window, put his face up against the window, and she slapped the window. And the window broke. And so there was no real intent there for her to commit criminal damage. But look, we need to just get details.
She's American and she's...
And he's German, and he's going back tomorrow.
She's going home tomorrow.
Get the ambulance anyway, let him go. If he wants to make complaints, we can make complaints. We hardly extradite her for that.
Six kilometres to the west in Ballyfermot, the Public Order Unit has been called to assist local Gardaí in evacuating an event being held in an industrial estate.
Obviously an unlicensed dance. Looking around, very, very young group of people here. Very little sign of any security, any sort of stewarding going on, anything like that. So we've enforced an order under Section 12 of the Act, and we're asking everybody to leave the premises now. There's no real signs of particularly drug use around the place, but again, it's a very, very young crowd. Complete lack of security, stewarding, anybody in charge of the venue. Most of these individuals seemingly have paid somewhere between €15 to €20 each to be here. You know, so somebody is making money out of this, but there's none of the requirements that we would expect to see at a proper function in there in it. So, you know, hopefully from our point of view, we've maybe saved somebody from getting a serious injury or an illness or something here tonight. Again, just not sure how often the premises is used and what it's used for. Other serious risks, so you're looking around, there's no fire extinguishers, there's no fire hoses. If a fire starts in a venue like this, there's only one very, very small door to get out. If panic starts, lots of curtains and drapes. You know, so there's issues around that, and God forbid, we certainly don't want another tragedy like we've had before to happen at some event like this. So these are the reasons why unlicensed dances have to be managed and have to be looked after. If you can see how difficult, how tight it is, even coming out here, we're still into railings and everything else. It's pretty much a death trap if anything had happened in there tonight. You're not going to get 200 people out here very, very quickly. It's taken us in a controlled fashion 15-20 minutes to get them to leave the premises.
In Dublin city centre, Temple Bar is heaving with thousands of people making the most of the St. Patrick's Day party. It's going to be a long night for the guards.
Full of comedians.
He's fat.
And I wouldn't expect any let up for a couple of hours yet. It's going to keep like this for a while. But so far, so good. Patience is something you have to be born with in the guards. There's no doubt about it. And Patrick's Day is probably no different to anything else. Patrick's Day will be a lot more people around, but I mean, Saturday night, Saturday night in Temple Bar can be every bit as taxing on your patience. There's no doubt about it. But look, it's not personal.
I'm home! I know, guys.
Yeah, and you know what you're not going to have is an open container of alcohol. Thank you.
No problem. I'm going to get more.
You work with people from children right up as far as people in their 70s and 80s years of age. We're a people-focused organisation, there's no doubt about it.
I'm a negative vocal in my left hand, sorry.
Don't say that. You didn't say that, sure you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Go on. See you again. What's the story?
This lady has had a lot to drink, so we have an ambulance on the way. So.
Okay, yeah, she's after getting sick.
I'm encouraging her to get sick.
Yeah, okay. Are you all right?
She's from France.
You're from France. How are you? Are you okay? Sometimes you're someone's dad. You're someone's big brother. You're giving advice. You're giving counsel all the time. And okay, people see us as we're going out there arresting the bad guy. That's probably the fundamental of what we do. But most of what we do is giving advice and trying to assist people in a lot of ways.
Out in Ballyfermot, Inspector Liam Garraty decides that the scene of a recent raid on an unlicensed dance event warrants further investigation.
A lot more audio equipment left up here as well. Again, obviously, if you're doing something legitimate and above board, why would you be leaving thousands of euros worth of your audio equipment behind? Obviously, somebody has been organising the event. We have here, obviously, all the admission tickets. St. Patrick's turned up at secret location, 2 mobile phone numbers. General admission €10 for tonight from 6 p.m. So there were certainly 250 maybe odd people in the premises here. That's somewhere in the region of €2,500 minimum. That was taken in by an unknown individual at the moment with no precautions taken for the safety of the people that are here. So obviously that's part of the reason why we have to do what we have to do.
In Temple Bar, the party is winding down, but there's no let-up for Inspector Mekatarian.
What's happening, guys? What have you got? Just out of it.
Completely, yeah.
Huh?
Completely, we're only after getting him away.
Okay, he wasn't conscious?
No, he wasn't.
Okay. Fella, they're totally unconscious. Have to get them, rousing him now. But he needs to be seen by medical people at this stage. Now, when he comes to, he might want to go, and the ambulance normally will not take the person if they don't want to go, you know? A fight around the corner. Where? Lads, what's your fight here?
Hey lads, trouble around there, just...
Where? Is there a problem here?
Yeah, we know
What?
Yeah,
And they had drugs, is it? What have we got here? Oh, some sort of powder substance, okay. Have you gloves there? Okay. How are you?
Hi, good.
What can I do for you?
We managed the number 2 here in Easter Street.
Yes.
And I have the truck with 4 beds that has to be delivered there.
No, see, I don't want to bring a truck in with lots of people. You understand? But look, when things quieten down, you'll be able to do it later on, no problem, okay?
Okay.
All right, take it easy. Do you see the difference in a split second? You're dealing with drugs in 1 second, next minute you're dealing with someone who wants to put a double beds into a house. That's why you have to love the job.
An estimated 500,000 people came into Dublin City for St. Patrick's Day. In one 24-hour period, 1,000 guards dealt with over 200 incidents. The plans are already underway for next year's security operation, when once again these guards will be on the front line.